Hello, and welcome to this brief presentation on learning in the virtual environment. I'm going to be emphasizing evidence that has been gleaned from the field of cognitive psychology to encourage students to gain the most that they possibly can from learning online and in a distant situation. My name is Jillian Grover Seaver, and I am a senior lecturer and the associate chair of the Department of Psychology for Eastern Washington University in Cheney, Washington. First, let's begin with some factors that contribute to student satisfaction with online learning. There are two major categories of factors that I wanted to cover. The first one is personality factors, things that the student brings with them as far as their predispositions. And then the other is behavioral characteristics, things that students do while they're in the online environment. So let's talk about how these two factors can contribute to overall student success with online learning. So first I wanted to point out some research that I've conducted with a former Eastern Washington student, where we examined intrinsic motivations as a personality characteristic. We found that people who were lower in the need for affiliation, that is, they were less likely to say that they like to spend a lot of time talking to other people, tend to have more satisfaction within online class and were more likely to want to take another online course than people who were higher in the need for affiliation. So if you see that in yourself, that you are a person who likes to spend time with other people versus if you're a person who doesn't like to spend a lot of time with other people, that can give you some insight into whether your predispositions line up nicely with online learning. Either way, I'll give you some advice at the end of this piece to help you to enjoy online learning more. The other thing that we discovered was that people who were higher in the need for autonomy, that is, they were more likely to agree with statements such as, I would like to be my own boss, tended to be more likely to want to take another online class. They enjoyed online learning more. So again, if you see yourself being the sort of person who likes to be in control of your own destiny, you might assume that you naturally are going to like online learning more. And if you are not that sort of person, if you're not really self-directed, you might just naturally assume, well, I just don't like online learning. But I have some tips for you, so hold on. I wanted to cover one more characteristic, those behavioral characteristics, before I get into my advice. So 3 main types of online learners were discovered in a study by Del Valle and Duffy. They found that there were some learners who were mastery-oriented. And you might think, hey, this kind of sounds like me when I tell you that mastery-oriented learners spend a lot of time in the online classroom, they log in frequently, and they interact with the materials and the resources that are available in the online class more than the other types of learners. The task-oriented learners log in less often, and they really focus their efforts on interaction with the resources and the materials, and they spend less time interacting with their peers or with the teacher. They just basically are trying to accomplish the tasks in the classroom. And then there's the minimalist who spends the least amount of time online. When they're confused, they tend to email their instructor instead of reaching out to their peers. They tend to be very dissatisfied with the class if it's at all confusing. So if you see this list of different types of online learners, you might recognize yourself in one of these descriptions. By and large, most online learners are more task-oriented, and so you may find yourself being that sort of learner, and that would be very common. You log in, you want to get your work done, and you want to get off. Other people want to spend more time interacting and really want to master the material. So recognizing what your natural tendency might be will really help you. In general, whether you're mastery or task-oriented, you tend to be more satisfied with the class than if you're a minimalist. And both mastery-oriented and task-oriented learners tend to display more learning over the quarter or the term than the minimalist does. The minimalist tends to say that the reason why they're dissatisfied with online learning is because they prefer to work in a group. But it turns out that it may not really be that they're working in a group would be the satisfying change, but instead that they might need to be able to engage in different behaviors, and that would help them to be more satisfied with their outcomes. So, how can you boost your own satisfaction with your online learning? Well, one thing I would like to recommend is that you pick a specific time of day that is going to be your schoolwork time. So during that specific time of day, you turn off all the distractions, you mute your phone, don't have any other windows open, turn everything off, sit in an uncomfortable chair. Like, don't get nice and cozy on the couch with your laptop in your lap or your tablet, but sit in an uncomfortable chair just like you would if you came to class. Our chairs are uncomfortable for a reason. Apply yourself diligently for a finite period of time. Most of us can focus for about 50 minutes without any interruptions. And then you can get up and give yourself a little bit of a stretch break, go get something to eat, do something like that, and then sit down and apply for another finite period of time. Knowing that it's finite will make it easier for you to focus and be willing to forego those distractors. Make a calendar of your deadlines. Canvas does it for you automatically. As your teacher populates your assignments, the Canvas calendar automatically gets populated. And you can have all of your classes showing on your Canvas calendar at one time. So it's really handy. You can also add your own assignments or reminders or things into your Canvas calendar, so it can become really a very effective calendar. But I'd like to suggest that you might even want to try an actual paper calendar. A lot of times not having to log on to your computer is a benefit, because if you discover that you don't actually have something due today and it would be a good day to read or something instead, get background prepared. Not turning on your computer might prevent you from looking at other things that might distract you. So using a paper calendar might actually save you time in the long run. Focus on a goal. It could be a time-based goal where you say, okay, I've got to just do this work. And then once I get to Friday, I'm going to take a break and I'm not going to look at this stuff for 2 solid days. I'm going to take time off. I just have to get to the weekend. That's a completely legitimate goal. I just have to stay diligent and then I get to take a break. Or you could do a behavior-based goal where you say something like, once this paper is written, then I get to take a break. But what I'd like to really emphasize is that your goals should be small and manageable. You want to be able to say, I'm going to be focusing diligently without any distractions for 50 minutes. Or I'm going to make sure that every day I apply myself diligently for 50 minutes all week, and then I won't look at it at all over the weekend, right? Like, make it very manageable. Or behavior-based, say, I'm going to look up at least one article for that research paper that I have to read. And that's all I'm going to do, but that's my goal. I need to do that one. So focus on a goal, make it manageable, and make it achievable. And then I really want to encourage you to foster a school-based support system. Reach out to your peers. Now that we're online, a really great strategy for students is to set up a WhatsApp kind of network of students in the class so you can reach out, talk about things, maintain that sense of community, even if you're at a distance. And then reach out to your faculty members. We are always designing our courses with you in mind. We want the material to be accessible. We don't want to confuse you. We want you to be able to do things in small bits. And so if we have produced something that's confusing, if there's an error in materials, something like that, please reach out to faculty because it's not on purpose. And so we want to fix it for everyone. Also, reach out to your faculty and let them know if there's something going on acutely in your life that they need to know about. A lot of times students don't communicate with their faculty until it has become really a big issue. And so communicating along the way, forming a relationship with your faculty members is a really important part of your education anyway. And so keep those lines of communication with the faculty open. And I think if you follow these procedures, if you do these steps, you'll find that even though you're learning at a distance, you will feel connected to your program, and you will find that the online environment is not as punishing as you might have experienced in the past or that you're expecting it to be. So good luck, and I hope that your quarter and the rest of this distance learning period goes well for all of us, and thank you for listening.